Okay. Next, we want to know when our player is hit by an enemy. We haven't made any enemies yet, but that's okay. We're going to use the signal functionality to make that one work. So just above at the top of your script, underneath extends area 2D, we're going to add signal hit. It's that easy. You'll now see that when you click on your player and go to node at the top right, so inspector and then node, we've got a hit signal here which we can connect to. And we are going to do just that. So let's do body entered first. So we want to connect, right click, connect, and then connect. And you'll see now that we've got on player body entered, and we've got the body as well. So this is essentially when we get touched, we're going to hide our player. Emit signal. Yep, it is being recorded. I am recording the screen here myself and my voice as well for posterity. If you guys want to listen to it, super exciting, I know. Emit signal hit. So that will do our hit signal above, and then we're also going to do our collision shape set, and we want set deferred, and we want disabled. Ooh. Disabled, true. What set deferred does is it will, when it is finished activating, so essentially when our collision shape detects a collision, it's going to hide the player, emit the signal that we have been hit, and then it's going to set the disabled property. So if we go to our collision shape 2D inspector, you'll see disabled here is a property. We are using GDScript for this one, Robbie. But you can download mono or the standard version. It won't matter for this. Both have GDScript capability. Sorry, yep. So once you've got your deferred there, sorry, as you can see, there is the disabled property. This one will set it to true when it is finished activating there. All right. Last function we are going to call here is a start. What we are going to do, the function we are going to call when we want to start the game. So functions are all declared with the keyword func, nice and groovy. Then we want start, and we're going to add the parameter pos here as well. We don't need to give it a type. So if you're coming from a strongly typed language such as C++, C#, Java, any of those, we don't need to define it as, say, vector2 pos. We can just say pos, and we're going to set our position to pos, show the sprite, and our collision shape.2d.disabled equals false. We don't need to use deferred here because we are not having to wait for anything. With this one, we need to wait for a time to disable it safely, whereas for this one, we can just re-enable. Disabled equals false, slightly confusing, but re-enable it doesn't need to be deferred. We can do that straight away. Okay, we're going to save this one and move on to our enemy scene. All right, so top left, scene, new scene. Okay, we're going to head back to our 2D here. You'll notice the script won't change when you build a new scene, but you'll get a new tab just here called empty because we haven't saved this one yet. All right, here's how we're going to set up this one. So we want other node, and we want a rigid body 2D as our root node, which is the top one here. We're going to add a child node. We're looking for an animated sprite. We are looking for a collision shape 2D. So this is the same as the character. Ooh. Make sure you parent them all to the rigid body 2D, not to each other. And then click back on rigid body 2D. And we're looking for visibility notifier 2D. Okay. So, rigid body, animated sprite, collision shape 2D, and our visibility notifier 2D as well here. All right, don't forget to set on your rigid body 2D here, children are not selectable, so that you don't accidentally drag anything around where it's not supposed to be. Okay, in your rigid body 2D, make sure you set your gravity scale to 0 here. We don't want them falling down the screen as they are supposed to float around. And just where our... Where are we looking? Under the physics body 2D section here, we want to turn off this first mask box, which just means that the mobs won't collide with each other. They'll only collide with the player. All right, is everyone following along so far who is playing along at home? Just make a quick check if anyone's got any questions. Yep, Tanaka's on top of it. Peter, Justin, are you still following? Excellent. All right, let's keep going. Just out of curiosity, is the speed I'm going at the moment good, or do you want me to speed up or slow down a little bit? Fine. Excellent. Ryan's on top of it as well, I can see. Perfect. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so let's go into our animated sprite now. I'm just going to close the output there. Have I got the game still playing? No, I don't. Perfect. Set the animated sprite just like you did for the player. So what we're going to do is create our frames, new sprite frames here, and click on that one to bring up our animation frames. We've got a few different ones that we're going to use. So there is fly. We're going to make another one called swim, and another one called walk. Fly, swim, walk. All right, perfect. Adjust for these ones the speed to 3 for each of these. 3, 3, 3, so that they move a little bit slower, a little bit more sluggish. All right. In the inspector here, you'll see there's a playing resource. If we just set that to on, then we will be able to see our animation right from the start. But more importantly, when it joins the scene, it will be immediately playing, so we won't need to play the animation from the code. All right, grab your walking, swimming, and flying, and stick those in like we did for the player. So under fly, flying 1, flying 2, that's done. Under swimming, swimming 1, swimming 2, and under walk, walk 1, walk 2. Oh, look, they're also huge. All right, so let's transform those as well. We're going to set the scale to 0.75, 0.75. There we are. So those guys, if we look at the window as a whole here, are now much smaller too. Fly, swim, walk, all set. In our collision shape 2D, just as with the player, we're going to set this one. I'm going to zoom back in here to roughly, oh, I've got to spin it around, 90 degrees. Perfect, just on the rotation there. Got to go back into my collision shape capsule, grab these back here. What I did there, just in the transform for the collision shape node, is I rotated at 90 degrees, just because these animations are 90 degrees here. All right, so we're going to save this scene, and we're going to save it as, oh, we didn't rename our root node, rename that to enemy. Enemy there, and then we save it, and enemy's filled in. Perfect. So we've now got our player scene and our enemy scene. Alrighty, don't need to do anything with the visibility notifier there. What we are going to do now is head into the script. So again, click on enemy, and add your script, create, all those settings are fine. Underneath extends rigid body 2D, we want to export some variables. So export var min speed 150 and max speed we want, let's go with 250 there. Okay, so like we did before, now these properties are available, max speed and min speed, just here in the top right for us to play around with, just to do some testing of the game if you want in the future. We don't have to do that, but it makes it a little bit easier to play around and balance your game if you've got maybe 5 or 6 variables that you're playing around with there. All right, in the ready function now, we're going to create an array. So we're going to call it mob types, as we have those 3. Remember, walk, fly, and swim. Equals animated sprite. Remember the $sign to get the node. We want to get our frames, and then get animation names here. That'll create an array out of those animation names. So it'll be something that looks like this. So walk, fly, swim. Something like that. And then what we can do now is randomize them. So we can get random looking mobs. Animated sprite.animation equals mob types, and then square brackets to get to set the index or set which of those 3 things we wanted. Remember, there were 3 of them there, so we're going to use random here. So rand I modulus mob underscore types dot size, and that is a method there. All right, there's a few little programming things going on, which if you're not super familiar with programming might be a little confusing. How did I add the collision box again? Collision box is under shape. So if we just clear this one, shape, new capsule 2D, like this. Rotation, so you want to set your rotation to 90 degrees, and then use these little orange sliders here to set it to the shape. Is that all working for you, Tanako? Say again, no problem. So if we go into our collision shape, have you got the node in the tree? Yep, fantastic. So if you come over to shape, it will say empty. You want to just click on that empty and go to new capsule shape 2D. You'll see this blue capsule pop up here. We want to make sure your rotation is set to 90 as our sprite is sideways, and then just use the orange bubbles here to pull in and pull out and resize to the size of your sprite. Got it? Fantastic. All right. Now, this one. If you guys haven't done any programming before, this might look a bit like nonsense, but I promise to you it is not. So as we had before, we had that array that looked like this. So we want to set our animation to random I is random int, random number, as you will. Modulus gives us the remainder. So essentially we want a random number, and then we want that to be turned into one of the numbers within this. So we've got, in programming it starts with 0, so 0, 1, 2. So it will be the size of this. It'll return us a random number between 0, 1, and 2, including 0, 1, and 2, of course. So that'll set it to something random. If you want a little bit more information about how the randomization works, then jump into those documentation notes and have a look at some of the more detail there. But all you guys need to know is that this will give us a random animation and set it for our animated sprite. All right. Next, so we want, if we go back to our visibility notifier 2D now, and go to the node setting here. So these are all our signals. So these get fired off when something happens. The one we are looking for is screen exited. Double click on that one or right click connect. You got to go? No worries, Justin. Thanks for joining in today. All right, and connect that there. All right, on visibility, notify screen exited. What we're going to do, queue free. This will just delete it. Simple as that. Nothing more to it there at all. It will delete the node and the queue free. There is also a free. Queue free will just do it safely. So it's best to use queue free when possible. Otherwise, we could be deleting it mid-function and then it won't be happy with us and we might accidentally break something. All right, that completes the mob scene. We are all done with that one.